No, they're not. Microsoft Teams is not adding live translate.
I'm excited.
Yes, they are.
They're gonna be the
not.
greatest.
They're not.
It's gonna be amazing.
Sorry, Ellis, are you speaking in Spanish?
Yo, what is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to another episode of the WVFRM podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marques.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David.
This week, we have a car company rebrand that is sweeping the internet. We also have a new website that continues to sweep the internet. It's
Newer website.
Newer-ish, that's true. And also a ton of Google news from lawsuits to Android 16 early looks. But first, Tesla started rolling out V4 superchargers. Well, they didn't start rolling it out. They announced it, and then they're going to start rolling it out. V4 superchargers are going to do 500 kilowatts. Very exciting. For those who don't have the context of what exactly that means, 500 kilowatts.
That would be me.
Yeah, so electric car charging, generally, the faster the better. And obviously, there's a whole bunch of math with the charging curve. It charges faster when you're at a lower state of charge and all that. But basically, V1 superchargers had, I think, a 75 kilowatt peak charging speed, and V2s were like 125 kilowatts. I might be getting the V1 and V2 numbers slightly wrong, but generally, the numbers have gone up over time, which means faster charging. This is the basic concept. V3 superchargers, 250 kilowatt max. Very, very impressive. But yeah, you can add 1,000 miles of battery, 1,000 miles of range to your battery in an hour. So obviously you won't have to plug in for a whole hour to charge your whole battery, which is great. V4 superchargers, they announced the new cabinet, and apparently Cybertrucks will be able to do 500 kilowatts. That's not necessarily twice as fast as 250 kilowatts, but it is twice as much power. And it shows, I think, there was a video clip that they put out where it was adding like 1,300 miles per hour to the battery, which is amazing. It also includes Tesla Semi support, and the Semi truck, of course, charges in megawatts. They measure this in thousands of kilowatts. So 1.2 megawatts would be 1,200 kilowatts, which is crazy.
Is this a stupid question? But I'm assuming a Tesla semi truck isn't pulling up to a regular supercharger. Are they going to have their?
Yeah,
it literally wouldn't fit in the space, right?
Right. They've had their own charging solutions in the past, and apparently this new V4 cabinet will support the Tesla Semi. You need a longer cable, the whole higher power and all that. But yeah, this will also be fast for those. So.
This does though come with the longer cables, right?
Yeah, mostly for cars that don't take the NACS port.
Or cars that now do take the NACS
but have it at a different...
But have it in different spots.
There's that too, but they're also going to be including CCS connectors at these stations.
Cool.
Yes. So for cars that, it's like you would have to buy a 2026 model of a car that has the NACS, and not everyone has committed to moving over to it, but I think that Tesla wants to be the gas station of electricity. So,
and even the ones who did, we're seeing these cables being trucks pulling up to be within less than an inch of the charging thing, and it still is at a 90-degree angle, which cannot be good for that cord over time. So being able to put it in, whether you're at the front or the back, right or left, anyone hopefully should be able to plug in.
Yeah. So for clarity, they did start rolling out V4 charging stations this year, but they didn't have the cabinets installed that allowed for this higher power.
Gotcha.
So next year they're going to swap out a lot of the cabinets and then also just start rolling out way more V4 chargers.
Sick.
So
yeah, we just had the Li Auto Mega here, which was also, it supported 520 kilowatt charging. And again, the number might not mean a lot to everyone, but the number that hit me the hardest was 10 to 80% in 10 minutes for your battery. That's awesome. That's like a full usable charge in not that much time. So yeah, hopefully a lot of cars will start being able to support that soon. All right, we should talk about this rebrand, this Jaguar rebrand.
Last minute addition to the docket this morning. Lots of talk on the internet, lots of talk inside our own studio, especially Tim, our graphic designer.
Because it's so good, right?
It's fantastic.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah, that's why.
It looks better bigger than a phone screen.
Well, I think let's get into it. I don't think it is just the rebrand. I think it's how the rebrand was launched and what was launched alongside of it. That is why it's all sweeping. I think so. Jaguar changed their logo. It was an older typeface that was it'd been around for decades, correct?
Some might even say it's recognizable. Iconic even.
Well, the cool thing to do in the last couple of years is take something super iconic and absolutely destroy brand recognition.
Melt it down into a simple sans serif font. Send it. Yeah, that's what's been happening.
So the new logo, the new Jaguar logo is just a different typeface. Yeah, like we said, everyone is kind of doing it. I think if that were just it, there would be backlash because when you have a singular thing for so long, any change to it is going to feel weird. And Jaguar's been around forever and kind of known as, you know, the old people car, despite some of them, I think, looking very good. But I don't think anyone disagrees with that, right? Like, it is kind of known as the old people car.
Yeah, the average Jaguar buyer is definitely 65 years old, like factually.
I think a new typeface to kind of look newer in age isn't the worst idea, but they released it with this, like, commercial. Did you all watch the 30-second, like, ad it came with? What were all of your thoughts on that? Can someone explain it? Or Ellis, can you explain it as you're watching it?
Yeah, here.
Can you live?
Ellis has not seen
not
it, so
live
these are
tweet.
his live
You
reactions.
haven't watched it
as he
yet?
watches
Oh, I
it.
would love to watch you watch it.
There's a lot happening. Okay, so what? That was a car. That was for a car.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Look, I'll start off with nice things. All right. I like the costumes. That was really fun.
Can you explain it too, like for if someone hasn't seen it yet, what happened?
I can try, man. But like, so there's some people in some sort of like Logan's Runny like outfits, and they're walking out on Mars, but it's pink, and then it cuts to seemingly like a queen in a royal gown. She's moving flowingly. Then it says Live Vivid, and then it cuts to a guy who looks sort of like Andy Warhol. He's spinning and he's painting as he spins. It says Delete Ordinary, but let's move on. And then there's a woman in an orange dress in a blue room, but she's upside down. She's on the ceiling. But then she's not. Oh, and then she has a hammer. It's a yellow hammer. So primary colors. But then it says break molds, which doesn't make sense because it's like a Bauhaus primary. It's not okay. And then they're all together. They're back on pink Mars, and they're sitting on a rock, and they're doing these sort of Twyla Tharp-esque looks to the side. I don't get it, man. I don't really know what they're. I don't know, man. When I was like a teenager, my dream car, like my absolute dream car, was a '80s Jaguar XJS. Like I actually am like a huge, passionate lover of vintage Jaguars, and so I'm a little bit sad to see that we're not going to get any more of those. We're not going to get like big, classic, classy, British steamboats.
Yeah,
but also maybe we'll get cars that work. So
yeah, a lot of reactions to this online. I think most people had the same initial reaction, which is, wait, this is a car company? What? This looks like it had nothing to do with cars. It's kind of just the beginning of a rebrand. It's a logo and a 30-second vibe, basically.
It's not too different from Nothing's marketing, I'm going to be honest.
With the bugs.
With the bugs and just the random Scandinavian people. Yeah.
I think my issue with this is Tim said this, like, at the end, it could have said Adobe instead of Jaguar, and it would have worked.
It could have said anything.
It could have said pretty much
a better Adobe ad.
Yeah,
it
for
could have
sure.
said Hubba Bubba.
Yeah, this ad has just like nothing going on with it. It feels like they went into like a Midjourney prompt and said, make me a 30-second ad that feels like I'm thinking outside of the box, and throw in a couple sayings you would find on like a $5 TJ Maxx.
Yeah, there's
like,
a chance.
sign.
Is Jaguar announcing a car soon? Is that happening? Do we know?
I think so.
Are we going to get a car that like breaks molds and is like unexpected and looks totally crazy?
Interestingly, the iPace came out a number of years ago, which was one of the earlier EVs that was on the market.
That is true.
But people generally did not like it. So
yeah, it was not that.
And did they just give up after that and now they're coming back?
So the crazy thing about the iPace, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, is they still sell a lot of them to Waymo, and they're like lots of them on the road. So they have a lot of electric cars out there.
So the
on
Waymos
streets.
are iPaces?
Yeah.
Oh.
A lot of them
I
are.
thought they were gas cars.
I thought they just changed. I think they're starting
just
to do.
They're going to make their
Ioniqs.
own cars too. Yeah.
But
they're working on their own design.
they haven't made any new EVs that I'm aware of since. They've made hybrids, they've made other cars, but Miles has reviewed another Jaguar since then. But the other thing about this ad though is it's we're talking about it on this podcast. I don't remember the last time we talked about Jaguar.
Exactly.
It's working. Like, people are talking about Jaguar. The tweet, this isn't on Bluesky or Threads or on your Instagram, or just the tweet has 1,000 retweets and 15,000 quote tweets. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what a ratio is, but that's a pretty strong statement. People are just sharing the crap out of this. 33.5 million views since yesterday.
50,000 comments.
50,000 comments since
Nice.
yesterday. So I don't know if Jaguar could have made a more attention-grabbing ad if they tried.
Yeah.
Like, imagine a regular car commercial getting 35 million views and 50,000 comments on Twitter. They'd have to do something insanely cool with the car.
That very well may
They'd have
have
to put
been the
hamsters in a
point.
Kia Soul.
They'd have to go nuts. Like, very, very cool cars have been announced that don't get nearly that attention. So
true.
Jaguar has the eyeballs on them, and that's probably, honestly, their main goal, even if they're getting roasted everywhere, is, hey, people are paying attention to Jaguar right now.
Yeah.
So whatever their next car is, people will look at it.
The funny thing is their logo and their banner image, I understand that it sort of looks like multiple layers of slightly different colored paint, but it kind of just looks like color banding.
It does. Branding.
That's funny.
So,
Also, the banner and the profile picture are like the opposite, light in the
Yeah,
middle
they're
versus
flipped.
dark. Yeah.
Looking at the website on Ellis's computer here, it's the first time that I went to, or that he went to Jaguar, and I'm like looking at it. I kind of like everything.
They're still using the old logo on their website.
That's what was going to be my nitpick, though. They're using the old logo on the top left, which is
That's
weird.
so funny.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of like it. Like, as someone that doesn't know anything about cars and isn't in the car world, and this is like my first real introduction to it.
I do understand that their old logo is very iconic. It is also very, very seated in like the 1980s.
For sure.
And I wonder if they're just like, we are not selling any cars to younger people, and we need to just do a full rebrand, no matter what it is.
I think it's super reasonable to look for an updated rebrand. I just don't. I don't like the like cookie cutter.
Guys, what are you talking about? Some of the most important celebrities to young people of all time have been Jaguar owners. Did you not know? Frank Sinatra, Queen Elizabeth, Count Basie.
Oh, I do like Count Basie.
Do you think you don't think Gen Z cares about Count Basie?
Yeah. I'm looking at this website. I mean, it really feels like they're trying to get people to pay attention to whatever their next announcement is. That's really my take here. They're like,
Multi-part.
a new frontier is coming. Go bold. Something's it's there. Here, look. So December 2nd, 2024. There's a date on the website. That's probably some other announcement.
In some of the articles I saw about this logo, there was like a car in the camo wrap that takes away like the lines and like prototype testing type of cars. So it does seem like they're coming up with something new. They're obviously not going to launch this just out of the blue and
Hyperfixed
not.
2, baby.
Oh, wait, I gotta ask. So, what do we all think Jaguar is gonna pull out that meets this criteria? That's disruptive, that breaks the mold, that's for the new generation. What's it gonna be? Speculation station.
An
Pull up.
EV.
Nothing. I don't think it's
Nothing
see
like
no
Carl
car?
Pay.
whatever
nothing?
car comes out is not going to like match what this vibe is.
I mean, if you're Jaguar and you're trying to reset a little bit, like remember we talked about Hyundai and Kia actually like successfully rebranding a little bit with their new EVs. And if you're Jaguar, you see that success and you're like, we got to do that too. Everyone who
true.
buys these cars is 60. We made a first EV, like we have that heritage. Now we need to capitalize on it. Everyone knows about Jaguar. This might be what you would do. You might go, let's just turn over a new leaf. Abandon ship. We don't need any of this old crusty old Jaguar heritage from the past 100 years.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this crazy new branding thing. We're gonna change our logo and we're gonna just start with these, EVs that are like in a popular segment. Maybe it's a mid-sized crossover and it's like this colorful bunch of, electric cars they come out with. I can see them doing that.
On their site, it does say the new era, a seismic change is coming.
Yeah.
So
I also want to say Car and Driver says that The automaker will unveil a design vision concept car during Miami Art Week on December 2nd. The concept will preview its first vehicle in Jaguar's revitalized lineup, which then goes to say this yet unnamed car will enter production by end of 2026.
Can I give my
It's a long
speculation?
lead time.
It's out of the box, baby.
Yeah.
Listen, what's the one thing that no auto manufacturer is doing? We have the mid-size market.
Sports car.
Sports car, the market's full. Mid-size, market's full. SUV, market is definitely full. They got to think bigger. I'm thinking 20 seats, 30 seats, additional standing room for 30 more. Make it 35 feet long. Sell it exclusively to municipalities. Charge $250 to get on it. Preset routes. This is the market.
The Jaguar bus.
The Jaguar bus.
I think we need to move on.
Oh, yeah. All right. It's blue sky time, baby.
Okay. So
Get him, David. Sick him.
This is your I told you so moment. Now.
it really is. It really is. Last week, right as we were writing this episode, it was reported that 15 million people had joined the service of Bluesky. Previously, the day before, it was 14 million. So that info had updated.
By the time I was editing the podcast, dear viewer, if you were watching the video, it was up to 17 million. So
Yeah.
that was the screenshot that I got.
So Meta had been making a big deal over the fact that they were adding 1 million users to Threads every single day. And then all of a sudden, 1 million users started getting added to Bluesky every day. And yes, Threads has almost 300 million people, and Bluesky is now sitting at about 20.7 million as of time of recording. 20.6, actually, as of time of recording. By the time you watch/hear this, it will probably be around 22 or so. But yeah, I mean, it's growing very fast. It seems like one of the main things that people are talking about on Threads right now is Bluesky. And it's gotten to the point where people are arguing about which one is better, which I find very funny. Because it's the same thing as like Android versus iOS or Sony versus PlayStation versus Xbox. People just love to be tribal about this stuff. And there's all these people on Threads being like, I'm not going to Bluesky because you can't grow your audience over there because you actually see your friends' posts instead of random people seeing your posts.
Dear
and I'm
God.
like, it's just hilarious. Anyway, I'm very happy to see growth of another platform. Obviously, it is not running on ActivityPub. It's running on the AT or AT protocol, but it is still a decentralized social network. Jay is working a lot with people like Evan Padromo to make there be more interoperability between Bluesky and the Fediverse.
Jay is the CEO.
Jay is the CEO of Bluesky. There's something called BridgieFed right now, which basically bridges the Fediverse and the AT protocol universe. So I know it's messy. Protocols are always messy.
No, it's just we're actually living in the timeline where it's like, oh, can you Mastodon me? Oh no, but if you hit me on Bridgie or if you use your BridgieFed account, it'll make it all the way to my Bluesky toot. It's like no,
Woof. We're getting back to Woof again.
Well, we also live in the era where Haktua girl launches Pookie tools was a headline from TechCrunch. So
That was a thing.
we
We didn't cover that, did we?
I don't think we need to cover that.
we did like 3 weeks ago.
competitor?
What?
Is that a React competitor?
React Native?
Yeah, Pookie Tool.
Pookie tools? I don't know. Sounds like more like a Pokemon competitor. Yeah, so if you're not on Bluesky yet, you should get on it because it's fun. And if you do get on it, you should follow us.
Can I ask everyone a question here? I think everyone, at least in the last week, has gone on to Bluesky and kind of
Not me.
reactivated their accounts, except Ellis. I just want to pose a question. What is one thing you're really liking about it and one thing you're disliking about the current state? You're not allowed to say user base because we all know it's the lowest
Yeah,
user
that's-
base, kind of all of them.
Yeah.
I can go first.
Oh, yeah, go first.
Yeah.
I enjoy just the people that I follow being on there, a chronological feed. The Discover feed needs some work for sure, but it is nice that I can pop between them. And every time I refresh, it seems to remember that. Big like. The thing I've been disliking lately, and maybe this is just because of the influx, is I keep getting these like suggested these threads, posts, whatever, that are essentially making fun of Threads by saying, we have to make sure that Bluesky doesn't turn into Threads and the engagement farming like hellhole that it is. So we need to make sure everything is authentic and not just for farming engagement. And then all of those threads have a ton of retweets and everything and feel like that is the engagement farming on Bluesky,
Yeah.
is to make fun of engagement farming.
Well, I mean, the same thing is happening on Threads.
for sure.
Whereas people
yeah.
are just saying, Bluesky sucks, and then it has a ton of retweets and stuff. And
it's just like,
guys, get out of your echo chamber.
it's just like, let's just do what you want it to be and show with action. Let's not immediately start complaining and then piling on it because that just feels like the same thing we've always had to deal with.
Yeah. I like that you can default to the following feed. Good one.
Yep.
I like that it's chronological and that you have multiple different feeds that you can jump between. I love the starter packs. Those are really fun and interesting. Starter packs are basically these packs of accounts that you can build so that someone can just inject their starter pack directly into their account so that they're following all the people they want to be following.
Show me how to do that real quick?
Yeah.
Or like if I wanted to find a starter pack.
So it's under profile, starter packs, and you can create one.
Okay, so I would go to a profile that I'm following already and see if they've created a starter pack.
Or they'll skeet about it, and then you can follow that. Yeah.
Forgot about that.
I gotta say it. I think that's I think that's super useful. I've been trying to figure out how to like. I guess it mostly is the people, but I'm trying to figure out what the difference in vibes are. And I think on Bluesky, there's a lot of positive energy about this new growing thing. And if you post something, what I felt was that most of the replies were on topic about that thing. Which shouldn't be a surprise.
How it used to be.
But that's how I was like,
how social media
wow,
used
this
to be.
is so refreshing that I posted about one thing and then the replies were about that one thing and then we engaged about that one thing and then moved on, which is kind of how Threads, I think, is trying to be because everything's combined with the thread. But I think X is not like that at all. So I feel like that difference was striking to me. And I don't know how long it's going to stay that way.
I think
more people means less.
I think it will. I think a lot of it comes down to incentives, right? It's like Twitter, X, now pays people for engagement.
Yes.
So the reason that it goes off topic immediately is because if something gets a lot of likes or engagement, everyone else who wants to make money just posts some funny meme below it that's not even relevant to the post. It's like, what are you consuming here?
It also helps that you can get the people who want to make money are verified because you can only make money through verification. And now blue check is the top of posts, so they automatically get to only fight with the other ones. So it's really hard to find, especially if you're a larger account like Marques. I used to go through your tweets all the time and read comments and like get useful feedback. That hasn't happened in a while.
It seems like it's the worst on X.
It is definitely the worst on X. Threads is also, it's just this giant grinder of people that just throws people at you and none of them know who you are and there's no like context about what you're talking about who you're talking to. And so there's a lot more fighting on Threads. I noticed last week someone posted about how Final Cut is like a really good value and how it's crazy that you only have to pay $299 once and you get it for life and it's a great value. And I just commented, Apple does that because it's more valuable for them to keep you on the MacBook and the whole Apple ecosystem. So,
how dare you?
So they're willing to like sell you a product once and not charge a subscription service because it keeps you in the ecosystem. And the person immediately started screaming at me and was like, how does that negate anything that I said about blah, blah? And I was like, dude, I literally commented, I'm not trying to fight you, man. I'm just like creating a dialogue about agreeing. Like why Apple does this. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
And I'm trying to start a thread, bro.
He eventually backed down, but I feel like the vibe on Threads is that people are always yelling at each other, so people assume to be yelled at. Whereas on Bluesky, because it's more focused on the people you follow and then like second level connections, like if Andrew were to comment on something on another person's post, I'd see that. That at least gives you some context as to like what you're communicating with, and it's just a healthier dynamic. And that's been completely destroyed with most of the other social media networks, primarily because of incentives like making money. Threads also pays a lot of people to make money by posting, which is what has caused a lot of engagement bait. So Bluesky, it's obviously like more like old Twitter where you don't make money on it. It's more focused on your friends. And right now they're not a public company, so they don't have to grow their user base so rapidly like the other companies do. Hopefully it stays that way. If they stayed private, it would be the best thing ever. Please don't IPO. Please don't IPO.
Even just that though, more users always, the more people we have, the more chance there is for things we don't like to happen.
Also true.
So
also true.
It'll be the weird thing of like is this thing on to like, oh, I wish this thing was off.
Yeah.
You got to hit that middle.
There's also an irony where the chronological feed allows you to jump on, look at the like 8 posts that have been posted since the last time you were on, and then be done.
True.
And
That's the best
Threads
part.
wants that to never happen.
They want to keep you on. They want to keep you on the site as long as possible. They want to keep you around, engaging, and hopefully showing you things as much as it's just like every other algorithmic feed. They just want to show you things that will keep you happy and keep you on the site and making them money through ads.
Right. Whereas this makes me happy, but I'm not on it as much. Whereas Threads makes me sad and I'm on it too much.
Have we had the conversation about how Bluesky makes money?
Well, right now they don't.
So is that like a ticking time bomb type situation, or can they infinitely not make money?
They have talked about ads and like different things that they will do. It's sort of like Twitter, right?
They're losing money, right, with servers.
Yeah, definitely. The more they scale and the more they grow, the more it's going to cost them.
Yeah.
For sure. Which is definitely a thing to think about.
That is why we're still waiting for another server to pop up.
Yeah. Right now, Bluesky.social is like the only server. It costs a lot of money to run a server.
Yeah.
So for a company to like run the infrastructure to run a server would be a lot. But if you did think about Twitter didn't really make money for quite a while. And they had this dual stake shareholder thing where Jack Dorsey like owned a lot of the company. And I think he wasn't as focused on making money off of it, but actually just creating healthy social media. You can say what you want about Jack Dorsey, but he did care about the health of a social media platform. He's the one that actually like incubated Bluesky at Twitter. And it was supposed to be the protocol that underlied Twitter. And then Elon bought Twitter. So that didn't happen. So they spun off. Anyway, if you want to know a lot more about Bluesky and you're more interested, we have this whole deep dive episode that we did like 2 or 3 months ago. So it's very relevant now. So go watch that. We can link it in the description. Also, I made a long form episodes playlist on the Waveform podcast channel. So if you go on the channel, you can watch all of them there.
You can deep dive, and then you can stay in our algorithmic feed.
Yeah.
Never leave.
Stay on the Waveform podcast.
Exactly.
Sick.
Yeah.
All right, well, we should take a quick break. We're going to come back. We have a lot more to talk about with Google. But before we take a break, trivia. It's way more exciting.
First question.
Yeah.
We all know that kilowatts is 1,000 watts.
Oh, my God, I might get this one.
But which of these is bigger?
Oh, no.
1 decawatt
Yoda watt.
or 1 watt?
Oh.
Deca, D-E-C-A?
DECA
I'm
watts?
just going by my Latin.
Or
on
one-
this
Is this
one.
one of those things where like
It could be a fraction. or
everyone outside the
multiple.
US are going to be like, I learned this in first grade.
Yep.
And we are all going to have 3 different answers.
You're like, yeah. I learned about gold mining in first grade, so who's the real winner here?
Yeah, we learned about freedom.
You guys might have learned about
What you know about that?
science. But I got gold nuggets at home.
That's funny. Fun fact, when David and I drive to work, we actually measure the drive's distance in gold nuggets. It takes approximately 137 gold nuggets for us to get to work.
Yeah.
Fortnights. You know Fortnite is a measurement of time?
Yes.
2 weeks, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
It's spelled differently in the game, though.
It is spelled different in the game. All right, we will come back after the break, and the answers will be at the end like usual. See you in a bit.
Fortnite.
Support for Waveform comes from AT&T. What does it feel like to get the new iPhone 16 Pro with AT&T Next Up Anytime? It's like when you first pick up those tongs and you're now the one running the grill. It's indescribable, like something you've never felt before. All the mouth-watering anticipation of new possibilities. Whether that's making the perfect cheeseburger or treating your family to a grilled baked potato, which you know will forever change the way they look at potatoes. With Next Up Anytime, you can feel this way again and again. Learn how to get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them and the latest iPhone every year with AT&T Next Up Anytime. AT&T, connecting changes everything. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024 with Siri and device language set to US English. Some features and languages will be available over the next year. $0 offer may not be available on future iPhones. Next Up Anytime feature may be discontinued at any time, subject to change. Additional fees, terms, and restrictions apply. See att.com/iPhone for details.
Welcome back. Today we have a lot of Google news. A lot of googly news.
RIP Google News.
This is still around.
Google News?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. I use it all the time.
Can we name this episode Great Googling?
Oh, sorry. What was the RSS thing called?
Google Reader.
Ah, sorry.
Oh, yeah, that was a long
RIP
time
Google
ago.
Reader.
RIP Google Reader.
Anyway.
Anyway, okay, we got a lot of Google news. Now, this first story might break officially today. The story we're reporting on is a leak from Bloomberg that says that the story is supposed to come out, like the official ruling today, the day of recording, Wednesday, November 20th. What the story is you might remember that back in August, a judge ruled that Google had been maintaining an illegal monopoly by paying search companies to be the default search engine. Remember that? We had a whole episode on it.
And they decided that was not cool.
I thought the episode we had on, they have too many lawsuits.
There's a lot of lawsuits.
Okay, because we also did the Play Store one.
We
that
did.
They got in trouble with
We
recently.
did.
Okay.
There's quite a few, but that is the one in which they said Google is actually maintaining a monopoly. So we've been wondering what that remedy was going to be, and it turns out, at least according to this Bloomberg leak, again, the actual story might drop today, that the Department of Justice is going to be asking the judge to force Google to spin off Chrome, like the Chrome browser, specifically because Chrome represents a key access point in how people use Google search.
Microsoft Chrome? Anyone?
No.
Okay, I've always wondered about these like spin-off things, like break up this big company into several smaller businesses, right?
Yeah.
So Chrome is too big, spin it off. It has to compete on level playing ground with Safari, Internet Explorer, Edge, everyone else. It's its own separate business, right?
Yeah.
What's preventing that talent who just worked for Google from collaborating with Google? Are there more laws that have to like drive a wedge between Google and Chrome, or is it just they are technically separate by the books now? I don't really know how that works.
It's that now Google can't tell Chrome how to operate.
But they can still collaborate.
They can, but Chrome can now collaborate with any other company or business organization.
So they
in the
may
world.
get a better deal.
The idea isn't that Chrome is so powerful and holds so much of the market that they need to be their own thing. It's that Google can use Chrome as leverage to control the entire corporate landscape.
Because remember, Chrome is a free application, right? They spend a lot of money developing Chrome, but they use Chrome as a portal to all of Google's goods and services that actually do make money.
Right.
It's like
Yes.
not dissimilar to the Nexus 7, which they lost $50 on every Nexus 7 they sold just to get people to sign up for the Google Play Store.
RIP.
Yeah. Yeah. RIP Nexus 7.
So then at this point, somebody else in the market can come to Chrome and offer
Chrome, all that sweet user data that Chrome is collecting relentlessly, they could sell that to everybody now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
So the issue right now is like Chrome is reportedly worth between $15 and $20 billion. So any company that could actually afford to buy Chrome is also probably one of the giant companies.
Yeah, I'd say no one's gonna. Yeah, they shouldn't buy Chrome. But if Google splits from Chrome and they're like, dang, they're really salty about it, but they still want to use Chrome as leverage, they still cut special deals with the Chrome business to continue to maintain this.
I mean, they're under this DOJ scrutiny, so I
Right.
don't think they would allow that to happen.
Well,
Interesting. Okay.
laws.
Exactly.
It's my only contribution.
I guess I don't know the specifics of how those things work, and I'm curious.
It's
how
fine.
gonna
Neither do they yet.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Fair
But I guess also in that is you can't cut special deals when you have other companies coming in with deals that are probably sweeter than that. So even if at the end of the day, well, you can't. You can, but it's less incentivizing too.
That's true, yeah.
Everyone wants to make money. When Chrome is its own thing, they are going to want to make money. They won't give a damn that Google is like made them or whatever. They're going to ditch that and they're going to make as much money as possible. And even if it winds up being Google still is like the main connection to Chrome, all that, Google will probably have to pay more money in all of that.
This is not dissimilar to how Android was originally started as an open source platform because they needed to get a bunch of OEMs to use Android to grow Android. But as soon as Android became huge, they started tying all of these things that used to be an AOSP to Google Play services,
Right.
so that you had to sign Google's license agreements, even though Android's open sourced. Like if you use Android, you're stuck on like Android 5.0 basically with all the stuff that they included in AOSP.
Right.
So that's a big reason why they needed to break them up. They're also asking the judge to force Google to license its search data and let publishers more easily opt out of training Gemini on their work, which they currently don't do. Yeah. So
Let me opt out, please.
yeah, that's the leak from this morning. So this could easily change by the time we're live with this podcast. But
I'm interested in what the opt-out thing would be, because it feels like we need that one like base ruling to be able to reference in terms of opting out of AI stuff, because it seems like every company right now is like, we know it's coming.
Yeah.
Let's get as much as we can before we have to actually do anything.
previously,
real.
they had this file called robots.txt that if in robots.txt you put a thing that said you cannot train on this, you were supposed to adhere to that. But then a bunch of companies like Perplexity got caught basically just completely ignoring robots.txt. And they would say like, oh, it wasn't us. It was like one of our vendors that goes around collecting data. But it's the exact same thing that happened with that pile data set where they were like, yeah, we're using the pile, but we're not the ones that collected it. It's like, yeah.
I have a question about this.
Sure.
So let's say Chrome does get spun off, and like this article says that a potential buyer could be like Amazon.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that just make them the monopoly?
That's what
That's
David
what I
kind of
was
said before.
saying.
Yeah, like
That's weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's strange that they're even trying to make them like sell it as opposed to just spinning it off and having them be their own business. Obviously, it might be a little bit difficult for them to just figure out how to make money out of nowhere. That might be the main problem. I'm sure they're going to be giving a timeline and a bunch of stuff like that, but it is kind of problematic that they're worth $15 to $20 billion. They also make Chromium, which is now the underlying browser engine behind Edge and then a bunch of other browsers. Firefox is like one of the only browsers right now that doesn't use Chromium.
Is Safari on WebKit and then Firefox
It's on
WebKit?
WebKit, yeah. I don't know if Firefox is on WebKit. I know Safari is. I don't think Firefox is on WebKit.
Okay.
But yeah, Safari and Firefox are like some of the only browsers not on Chromium. Arc is on Chromium.
Yep.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Firefox is on Quantum browser engine,
which
It's
is their own
thing.
one. Yeah. But again, Mozilla is a foundation, so there's that, and they weren't really making any money either, besides selling, letting Google pay them to have them be the default search engine. So I don't know how Firefox is going to make money after this, but either way, yeah, it's like it is kind of a foundational thing to have a browser with the most market share as a portal to all the Google goods and services, because they just really plug in everything. You know, they're trying to make Gemini like a core part of the Chrome browser now.
Yeah.
So that is going to play out throughout the week. We'll probably talk about it again.
So play out through the
very
next
soon.
7 years. Episode 600 will have the final ruling of what happened to Chrome. Yeah,
Probably. But the next story is actually fairly relevant to this.
Okay,
The next
Google story
story,
number 2.
Yes, Google story number 2. Google is reportedly ditching ChromeOS and making everything Android. That actually would make sense in conjunction with this, because obviously Google can't really have ChromeOS when Chrome is Chrome and going to be a separate company potentially. So they want to make everything Android because it would allow it to compete with the iPad a lot more easily. They don't really feel like ChromeOS really works on tablets, and Android sort of is the only thing on tablets right now. And it doesn't make sense that they have such a fragmented ecosystem when it comes to...
I feel like people have been talking about this for years. Like, when are they going to merge? Are they going to merge? And if anyone ever asked Google, they'd be like, no, they're totally separate. Yeah, Chrome OS. I mean, you can put Android apps on it, but they're totally separate. It was always a little confusing.
Yeah.
And so this, to me, makes a lot of sense in general, just because of the user experience. So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Put Android on everything.
So, and they're also reportedly working on a new flagship Pixel laptop that will probably run Android. So, my question becomes, Chrome OS is just this really awkward operating system with this vision that Google had where the internet was your computer.
Chromebooks.
You always had Wi-Fi, Chromebooks, and that you were always going to store everything in the cloud and nothing needed to run locally, so they can sell them cheaply, they can put them in schools, all of this stuff. I feel like we are quickly moving towards this world where that's not really the case anymore. Apple has never shifted everything into the cloud. They have some stuff in the cloud, like your photos and all that stuff, but they're all about local processing.
Yeah.
And a lot of applications require a lot of local processing.
Yep.
So my question is, like, a premium Pixel laptop that uses Android, if it's as expensive as a MacBook Air or like a Mac Mini,
or the last Pixel book.
or the last Pro Pixelbook was very expensive. And it's just, you can't do that much on them. You know?
Yeah, so Chromebooks had a small niche of success, and
They had a lot of
obviously-
success.
Yeah, they depended on you obviously having an internet connection. So like they are the most useful when you do have a reliable internet connection, and they seem like a dumb idea when you don't.
Yeah.
So,
But also
yeah.
applications that just don't run on them, right? You can't use Photoshop on it.
Also true.
You gotta use
But
Photoshop Web and all that.
I think the argument would be like if you're a student or if it's your first laptop or whatever, 99% of the things you would ever do on a laptop are available through web apps. Like
Yeah.
you have web apps that can edit photos. You have web apps that can, edit music. You can make all kinds of things with them. And so it was like, yeah, I'll do everything on the Chromebook, and I don't need to pay a ton for storage. I don't need to pay a ton for RAM. Like all the processing is happening elsewhere. I just saved a bunch of money, and I always have an internet connection. So this is great.
Yeah.
So it made a lot of sense if you had a good internet connection, but that is an if.
Right.
That not everyone can say they have.
Also, I kind of think that Google only really made Chromebooks to sell very cheaply to schools, because exactly why the Department of Justice is suing Google over Chrome being this like way to get access to all the other goods and services that Google offers. They're just onboarding children onto Google services so that they already have accounts by the time they're in high school, right? And you're not going to there's friction between switching everything from Google services to Apple or Amazon or whatever.
Yep.
And so it's just like a way for them to get the next generation of people on Google stuff, which makes sense because they always talk about the next billion users, and like the young people are going to be the next.
They're being born right now.
Yeah.
And that's not a new practice in the industry too. I remember my dad telling me when he was studying CS at Brown in the 80s that at his sophomore or junior year or something like that, Apple just came and gave Brown
Totally
thousands of new computers.
Yeah.
And no one at the time was using Apple computers, but the next 6 or 7 graduating classes of Brown sure as hell did.
No, at my middle school, Apple always donated computers to us for our computer lab, and they donated Final Cut 7, and they donated all this Apple stuff.
iLife.
iLife.
Wow.
iLife. Yeah.
Yeah, I did unbox one of those many years later.
Yeah.
I guess my only question here is, at what level is this? Because ChromeOS made sense because it wasn't Windows. But if we're just doing a laptop that's trying to do things offline, why is it not just Windows? Because they're just this sounds more like a Windows competitor than
Well, Google wants to have something from the ground up, right?
Google wants their Windows.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
problem is Android is not Windows. And it's sort
Yeah.
of, I mean, they're just like the VR headsets are barreling towards the smart glasses, and the smart glasses are barreling towards VR headsets. Android phones are barreling towards being able to be computers that you can plug in, and Android-based computers are barreling towards the ability to have touchscreens and use them like tablets.
Wait. Android and Windows are not that different, right?
I guess that's kind of
They both are prone to crashing a lot. They both have massive security flaws.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
that's right. They both can actually transfer files easily
You can play-
through a cable.
Oh, yeah, no,
imagine that.
I love installing the Android file transfer app on every Mac I've ever owned.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
play
look,
PUBG on both of them.
if Google was if they would just stop with all the cloud stuff and they were actually able to develop Android applications that were actual competitors to things that people need to use every day, this could be different. But, they just released this Google online video editor where you can tell AI to create a video for you, and then you can do little edits, but it's all in the cloud. It's like they're so against doing anything locally. But I feel like when Apple is offering all of this local power and local storage, and people need that and want that for professional work, I just don't see how you can sell a really, really high-end Chrome. Google has tried this 5 times. They've tried the high-end Pixelbook, Chromebook thing, and they never sell that many because they're super expensive and they're less useful.
Yeah, so these are diametrically opposed ideas on how to compute.
Right.
Put as much of the power on the device as possible so that you always have the fastest local power all the time, and that seems to work best for high-end applications. And then get as much compute off the device as possible is the other side, which seems to be best for low-end applications.
Yeah.
And so somewhere in the middle is this clashing point of a high-end Chromebook, it doesn't really seem to be a good idea, or a really low-end computer with everything local is also kind of a tough sell. You still need all this power and all this storage and all this fast bandwidth and all that. So it's like kind of challenging.
Yeah.
So on either end of the spectrum, it's more obvious, but in the middle, it's kind of like, I guess it's not that compelling.
Yeah. One thing they might be thinking about is how the Pixel line and Android devices interact with their computers, right? Because they haven't really had a match to the parity that the iPhone and the MacBook communicate. And over the last few years, they've been making so Android phones and Windows computers and then Android phones and Chromebooks could communicate a little bit more seamlessly with file transfer and clipboard copying and that kind of stuff. So maybe if you're like a Pixel phone user, this new Pixel laptop that's premium will have a lot of interconnectivity features with your Pixel smartphone. That might be the draw that they're trying to bring people in with.
I do have to, I was just gonna say, I like see a bunch of you using iMessage on your laptop all of the time, and I'm so jealous. I can't do that. I have like the
Android
messages.google in a tab,
Google
but like Google Messages like in a tab that I can type, but you have to have it open, and it doesn't have like good notifications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I wish I just had a first party, obviously not first party, but a program inside of
It is pretty nice.
this. Yeah,
I
we'll
always
say.
figured Google was like one step away from doing that, and they never did. Like having, and there's just a rumor recently, I'll try to find the headline, but of like, oh, Google Messages should work with like the cloud and should work on a bunch of devices and sync in real time. But also, when I had an old like Pixel book, there would be a couple ties. You could like share the internet connection from your phone. There would be like instant one-click tethering. There'd be a couple things like you could use the phone as a webcam. There were just a few ties to the laptop, but it never felt like fully like a two-way street. Yeah, it wasn't really quite as integrated as Apple's done.
I think this very much comes down to Google's structure and how they're built and all the teams that are like spun off to make different things. Like there was a period of time, and this still might be the case, I'm not sure, where you couldn't use RCS and Google Messages Web at the same time because they used like different protocols. So you had to turn RCS off if you used Google Messages
Those
for
teams
Web.
are in different buildings. They've never met each other.
And it was like, what are we doing?
Jeez.
This is insane. So who knows? Okay, Google story number 3. Android 16 just dropped, which is crazy.
That was fast.
We were not expecting that. It kind of came out multiple months in advance as opposed to how it's come out in previous years. It launched in developer preview, so DP1. Usually, this doesn't even happen until like February or so of the next year. So the fact that Android 15 only officially came out literally last month. And now we have...
We just started getting it on. Everyone's Pixels just got it, and every other phone is slowly starting to get it.
Right.
Wow.
And now we just got DP1 for Android 16, which is crazy. The Google says that they're moving towards more frequent API releases to be able to deliver faster innovation in apps and devices. So far, there's not a lot of stuff that's really that different with Android 16. The main changes are that it's going to give access to the Android photo picker, which lets users select specific photos and videos they want to share with an app instead of like their entire library. The iPhone has had this for a while on iOS. And it also includes the latest privacy sandbox and a preview of Android's Health Connect app, which supports health records and allows apps to read and write medical records in the standardized FHIR or Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources format, which basically I think they're just trying to have more interconnectivity with the way that actual doctors and hospitals read medical information, because these devices that we're carrying every single day, using every single day, are collecting a lot more data than a doctor is able to just randomly collect at an appointment. Yeah. So I think they're getting ready for a future where you're able to just like hand over your phone or like send them a file and they instantly know all the health data about you that you've been using, which is
you get system restored at the doctor's office.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of smarts. But also
Imagine you bring your error code into your primary care physician when you're not feeling good.
It's these are neat things. These are cool features. They're useful. It's also, I mean, we said this about the last version of Android. It feels like it could be a .1 update. Like, why is this?
Well, this is DP1. Often you don't see things until DP3.
Sure, there could be way more bigger features coming.
Yeah.
But even the last update, Android 15, felt like a .1 update to Android 14. So
totally.
I'm curious what's coming. But
the big things I would like to see is we got to see the very beginnings of being able, like a Dex-like experience, but just built into Android.
Sure.
We saw a very early
even
version
that,
of
though,
that.
See, remember like the difference between Android 3.0 and 4.0.
But we're so
like,
mature now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to have a huge new version number every year.
Yeah.
But they're so, like, they just do it.
Well, you do
time.
because they're are they promising years of security upgrades or
Years,
versions?
yeah.
Okay,
years. So they could go 7 years and it can only be 2 version numbers, and that'd be fine. It'd be 7 years of things.
It's like the difference between turning 4 and 5 and 44 and 45.
Exactly.
That's a really good.
That's exactly
even
what it
younger.
is.
Like
Yeah.
Lane at this point is like 12 months to 13 months is like multiple new upgrades.
Yeah,
and then, yeah.
Firmware updates like every week. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you don't really have to do too much.
It's an S curve after 25 when your brain finishes developing.
Yeah.
And your knees start deteriorating.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for future Android features that get updated for 16 or get announced for 16. But feels like a .1 update to me.
Yeah. It's .001, really.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a little bit more. We got a whole segment on Microsoft Teams after this. It's going to be incredible.
Ellis wants to
It's
throw.
kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Ellis wanted to throw one more
I have
thing
one more
in,
Google
apparently.
thing, which is that
Okay.
if any of you get the chance, we didn't have time to talk about this week, but David Streitfeld wrote a really great article in the New York Times about the Google antitrust suit, specifically about Google's great lengths they went to internally to delete all communications and evidence that everyone at Google knew they were a monopoly. Including to the point where they would refer to certain conversations as Vegas. Like they'd be like, hey, do you want to go to Vegas? And that meant let's talk about how we're a monopoly. Also, the fact that no one at Google knows what privileged means. Like before having a really toxic conversation where they admitted they were a monopoly, they'd just be like, this is privileged. And just assume that that meant lawyers couldn't look at it, which is
like,
hilarious.
Are you a cop? You have to tell me.
It's like, it is like that
the
level
drugs.
of like, I love clowning on FANG companies, and they make it. Excuse me, manga companies.
Manga, yeah.
And they make it
Also,
too
NVIDIA is in
easy.
there now.
Get ready, NVIDIA, locked and loaded.
Man.
Oh yeah.
Because Netflix was the end before.
Anyway, trivia.
Name all of the companies.
NVIDIA is most of
Name all the
s-
companies. Ready?
of
I
the
don't even know what you
GDP.
guys are talking about.
McDonald's,
Manga?
Acura,
It used to be FANG,
like
which was
NetSuite.
Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google.
I've literally never heard
GameStop.
and then
What?
they started
Yeah, that's
expanding
manga.
it to be like slightly more
Microsoft,
major.
Amazon, Netflix, Google, Apple.
Yeah.
that. Netflix is in there and can't even have an actual streaming event.
Yeah.
They don't. They should get kicked out.
There was a story that said it was the most streamed sports event of all time, though.
Most. Yeah,
Viewed.
we were actually
Viewed?
no
Streamed?
viewed
No way.
or streamed,
Streamed.
which Marquez and I were debating. That must mean internet streamed only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which that makes sense.
Which is
Like
a newer thing.
TV, obviously the Super Bowl, I don't know, 100 million views.
That's
That-
broadcast, I guess.
Yeah, it's broadcast,
Yeah.
not streamed.
Yeah.
So
Question number 2. This is the last trivia question you guys will hear before we record Trivia Extravaganza.
Let's go.
Later this afternoon. So, if you can tell us right now what everyone's score is in trivia, you will get a point. You will get bonus points if you can name the scores on the board that are not the three of you.
The scores or just the
There
contestant?
are 4 contestants on the board who are not the three of you. I would like their scores.
oh boy,
Okay.
that's tough.
I think
I'm gonna need some
I
time.
think I know. a
As
couple.
well
As their-
as your
the-
scores.
Okay,
I know it's,
Your scores in 7 points ago.
so you only get a point.
Thanks.
You only get a bonus point if you name the contestant and their matching score.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'll give you a point per contestant score combo pair.
Okay.
Cool.
all right. Well, we will do a lot of mental math and think about that, and we'll be back after the break.
Better hear Adam be like, update on the score.
Support for Waveform comes from AT&T. What does it feel like to get the new iPhone 16 Pro with AT&T Next Up anytime? It's like when you first pick up those tongs and you're now the one running the grill. It's indescribable, like something you've never felt before. All the mouth-watering anticipation of new possibilities. Whether that's making the perfect cheeseburger or treating your family to a grilled baked potato, which you know will forever change the way they look at potatoes. With Next Up Anytime, you can feel this way again and again. Learn how to get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them and the latest iPhone every year with AT&T Next Up Anytime. AT&T, connecting changes everything. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024 with Siri and device language set to US English. Some features and languages will be available over the next year. $0 offer may not be available on future iPhones. Next up, anytime feature may be discontinued at any time, subject to change. Additional fees, terms, and restrictions apply. See att.com/iPhone for details.
Okay.
Should I?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. All right, welcome back. Sorry. It's not that... Teams.
The world's
It's
burning.
Teams. Who
Go
cares?
ahead and bring it back.
Who cares? Welcome back. we are going to talk about Microsoft Teams. I wasn't joking before. This is the most exciting thing on this week's podcast. And that's because there's an article that Microsoft Teams, starting next year, allegedly, will help you speak in foreign languages during meetings.
No, it won't.
And we have some skeptics on the podcast, but let's at least break down what it's supposed to do before we get into our skepticism.
Right.
Have you ever been on a meeting where maybe you're the only person who speaks one language and everyone else speaks a different language? And if you could just speak in your normal language and maybe some AI magic could just make it sound like you're speaking the language of everyone else on the call, then you wouldn't have to think too hard. You
The
could just talk,
babblefish.
and then every time they spoke, it would translate it to your language, and you could hear them and understand them, and it would just be this magical AI translate feature. I don't know how many magical AI translate features we're going to have to live through before one of them actually works, but this one could be built into Microsoft Teams in 2025, and it would be pretty sick if it worked.
It won't.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with, we have seen this 100 times.
Yeah.
And I still have yet to see it kind of working in real life.
I mean, the weird thing is every time a company usually comes out and says we do real-time translation, it usually means speak, wait 3 seconds, it comes out, speak, wait 3 seconds, it comes out, which is not real time. This, at least in their video, looked very close to real time. It's sort of like in one of those documentaries where a person that doesn't speak the language that you're listening to starts talking in their language, it ducks the audio, and then they dub it over the top. It kind of looked like that. Whether or not it works seamlessly,
It doesn't.
I don't. Alice.
Yeah.
I don't like Microsoft either, but
Look, we did it. Do you guys remember Waveform episode 206?
Like this
the back
episode?
of my hand.
Yeah, there was a trivia question about this. There was a trivia question about specifically this because Microsoft unveiled live translation in 2010, and then again in 2012, and then again in 2014, and then again somewhere around 2017. They keep doing this.
Everyone keeps
They've
doing it.
never actually delivered a product.
No one has either.
But at this point,
Remember
if
the
they...
domain pin? I was just going to talk in my language and then let go, and it would talk in their language. It was going to be great. This future.
I mean, it
remember
does
that
do
pixel?
that, but like David said, it's really like
Delayed.
fragmented, and I'd argue that Humane Pin might be one of the best quote unquote live translators I've seen in person, but it is painfully slow to actually get through the entire
I
thing.
understand your skepticism, Ellis.
Guys,
I
this
also
was a feature they said would be baked into Skype in Windows 8.1.
Okay.
Yeah, but they didn't
Well,
have ChatGPT back then.
You can't take 8.1
They didn't know what they were
seriously.
doing.
I understand your
Now we do.
skepticism. I also think the specific advancements in AI that we have been making play specifically well to things like translation and AI voice modeling.
They had
that kind of
tiny
stuff.
language models back then.
I think, yes, long short-term memory. I do think it is much more viable now than it was in 2010.
No, but this time he's going to change.
At this point, I'd be...
Ellis, we have to make a bet. I am willing to make
I would
this
like you
bet.
guys to make a bet.
Yeah, what's the
I mean,
bet?
How
the
far?
bet. So available early 2025 is the official promise from Microsoft. Whether you want to bet it around that, or
I don't.
maybe
I'm
a
not
little-
betting the time. I'm betting that it actually works
Okay.
What do we
when
consider
it comes out.
when it comes out.
So regardless of when so if it comes out 100 years from now
Yeah.
and it works, you still win this bet.
Yeah.
It has to be in Teams though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I'm feeling so confident about this. I will put the time extension at the beginning of 2027. I will give you all of 2025 and 2026 for this
Okay.
to get added to Teams because I'm so confident it will not be.
Okay.
And if it does, I will give the Microsoft engineering team the biggest round of applause. I'll say you guys did it. It only took you 15 years of lying to everyone to get this done.
Here's
You
the
know?
here's the paragraph on Microsoft's website. Imagine being able to sound just like you in a different language. Because we've had AI dubbing before. Imagine being able to sound just like you in a different language. The interpreter agent in Teams provides real-time speech-to-speech interpretation during meetings, and you can opt to have it simulate your speaking voice for a more personal and engaging experience. Public preview coming in early 2025.
Yeah.
That's not a developer preview. That's a public preview.
Yeah.
could be in our hands in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Damn, get those hands warmed up, Ellis. You about to be clapping, boy.
I will clap. I will clap. You know what, David? I'm feeling so confident that I'm willing to bet you right now, if this comes out fully, like as a full feature, not like a preview.
So not as a preview?
No, before 2027, before January 1st, 2027.
As a full
full
Shave
feature.
his head.
No, even worse. I will use an Android phone for a month.
Really?
Even worse.
Even worse. Wow.
That's a crazy proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what will you do January 2027 when this doesn't ship?
David will shave Ellis's head.
I want you to believe in this, like really believe that it will happen.
I do believe this will happen.
So how much do you believe?
Yeah, how much do you believe?
Well, what does it do for me if you use an Android phone? It just makes our communications worse.
Damn, that's true. That's a great point.
Like, that doesn't benefit me.
All right, we'll think of the bet offline and we'll get back to you.
We'll go back to
Yeah,
you.
good
in
call.
future weeks.
Good call.
Yeah.
We have 2 more quick stories. Marquez, I'd like you to pick which one, because I think you'll find both of these interesting.
Okay.
We can either talk about the new Alex Goldman podcast, which officially starts this week, or knee airbags.
Sounds like you need that.
Marquez and I both have a couple things in common, and these nail them pretty
Catch me
well.
with the Arc'teryx exoskeleton and knee airbag.
Nothing can hurt me.
Let me hear about these knee airbags. I need to understand this.
All right, so Marquez, you and I met playing Ultimate. You know, I stopped it because I had 3 ACL tears, 4 knee surgeries. So I'm a lonely disc golfer now. You still play incredibly competitively. You're played at the biggest stages possible this year, but you know, you're 30. Your knees are.
You almost said a really tough sentence there.
No, I did not.
You're 30.
You're 30. You're almost. You're 30.
You're starting to fall into
You're
dust.
30. You got to start worrying about your knees. Your birthday's coming up, man. Each year after 30, those knees start creaking a little
It's
more.
a miracle I'm still here.
So, I found this new knee brace. It kind of works in the same way. Have you seen? I still think this is one of the dumbest products ever, but they're like the helmets that aren't a helmet.
Yeah.
You wear it around your neck, and it's like I think it's a one-time use, but it like as you're
detects.
falling, it goes up. Because I guess people are so hell-bent on not wearing a helmet, they'd rather wear a super expensive neck brace.
I saw a demo of that where it didn't work. So yeah, I've seen it.
So yeah, this feels like that. So it's a knee brace, and it has all these little airbags around it. And if it basically detects any rotation or hyperextension within 30 milliseconds, all the airbags like pop and straighten your knee out and prevent it from hyperextending or rotating, which is what causes those internal knee issues or
Interesting.
snappages. I hate to say snapping because I immediately wince when I think of it.
Yeah.
But
Do you think this would work?
listen, I'm not here to say if this is going to be real or work. I'm just here to get your thoughts on it because it seems wild.
Okay, I'm looking at it on the website, and yeah, it just looks like kind of like a roller skating knee pad. But obviously, if you fall,
Do you know what it looks like? It looks like the old football helmets, the like leather ones that have
Yeah.
like individual like padding all over it.
I don't think this is gonna work. Here's the other thing. I saw the helmet thing, which was like it was like a hoodie, and then when it detects free fall, it's supposed to deploy the protection shield or whatever, and then you land and your head's protected. And that was like, okay, that should be easy to detect free fall. And then a YouTuber, I don't know if it was Rhett and Link or someone else, but someone like got it, put it on, and just like fell onto a mat 5 or 6 times, and it didn't trigger once, and then they finally got it to trigger after they hit the
I
ground.
was gonna say,
So
imagine this: you like fall down, you tear your ACL, you're on the ground, you're like, oh, and then it just goes.
and then it explodes. It's even worse. Yeah. I don't know if I have faith in this one. I like the idea, and I think this would do great on Shark Tank, and then I think we would all realize it's a bad idea.
Just based on the website, it's called Hippo, I think.
Hippos.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting idea because I do really like if you're getting into the age where knee issues are more prominent, and that's usually the age where a knee injury can kind of take you out of whatever sport you're really into. I mean, especially basketball, hockey, football, like ACLs are the things where at a certain age, there's a player right now, Alex Ovechkin, who's actually chasing one of Wayne Gretzky's records, and he just had a knee injury the other day, and people are presuming it might be an ACL, and he might not get the record now because he's already on that side of 30, which would be really sad. But I think like this is kind of an interesting idea. It is just pre-order, and when you pre-order, it says like enter in your email for a demo unit. So I don't know how close it is, but like, man, if I could have saved one of my ACLs and this just felt like a normal knee brace, I think I'd be super into it.
Honestly, I think AI has a lot of potential to help injury prevention and just like sports science and sports medicine in general. Like that's where it should be the most useful. So I don't know if this exact product is necessarily a product of that or if it's a little early, but in general, I think stats and AI and numbers can help with athletic injury prevention at some point.
One of the things they do say is that it's, which I'm guessing in terms of monitoring, you would always have to be wearing this, but it says part of the thing is analytics, which measures like fatigue and strain and like being able to produce a workout plan to help you strengthen and keep, because like in all of these things, I'm an idiot and I tore my ACL probably because I did not do proper like strength training around your knee, which is like super, super important. And when you play Ultimate, you play on the worst fields possible and just absolutely rip it up. But I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. And keep your knees safe, man. It sucks to hurt them. Can confirm.
My knees have not been in great condition recently either. And I'm not even 30 yet.
Just you wait, boy.
I've been doing PT for my knee since March.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a good time.
All right, I'll go last one.
Evolution needs to fix this, seriously. Wow.
Maybe it's working as intended. Last quick one. I've talked about this before. Alex Goldman, former host of Reply All, a podcast that I would argue, if it didn't exist, Waveform might not exist because it was like the first podcast I ever listened to as a weekly basis type of thing. Alex Goldman had released 2 pilot episodes of his new podcast called Hyperfixed. Tomorrow, which if you're listening to this was yesterday, is it officially coming out on a twice a month basis, and I cannot wait. If you don't know about it, it's pretty similar to something called Super Tech Support they used to do on Reply All. And they basically, each episode is a problem someone brings to Alex. He tries to figure it out, throws a bunch of cool anecdotes on the way. He's just been great so far, and I can't wait to just have like another normal podcast to like listen to on a regular basis.
Cool. Did you listen to
the pilots are really good.
Okay.
You should definitely listen. If you want the nostalgia of Reply All, it's 100% there.
That's still my favorite podcast of all time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's only one thing left to do here, and that is trivia.
Yeah.
All right, update on the scores.
Trivia. Dude. So quick update on the score. Question 1. We all know that kilowatts is 1,000 watts, but which one of these is bigger? 1 decawatt or 1 watt? David is deep in thought.
I'm always deep in thought.
Andrew looks angry.
Correct.
Marques is doodling. I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm going to be so mad if I'm wrong. I'm going to be so mad.
I'm going to feel exactly the same either way, which is mad.
Flip him and read. What do we got? David?
God. I put 1 watt.
Wrong.
Oh.
Andrew?
I also put watt.
Incorrect. Marques?
I put decawatt.
Correct.
Because the prefix deca means 10. And it was slippery because deci, this prefix deci is a tenth.
That's wow.
And I'm glad I got those right.
Damn, look at Roman Emperor Marques Brown.
I did know deca meant 10, and every part of my brain was like, this is too easy. It can't be that easy.
That's why I was like, I'm going to be mad.
So it sounds like it wasn't that easy. You had the thing to trick me on. Yeah. I just didn't know the other thing to get tricked on.
The original version of this was going to be.
What's that?
I was going to say, what's 1 kilohertz?
What is 1 kilohertz? Like, how many hertz is it? 1,000?
Correct.
Oh.
I was hoping you would get in your head.
Oh.
Did you get my thing?
The watt thing?
What?
You should have drawn the lady.
Oh, now I get it. It's 1 question mark. Got it.
Hey, I got a point, guys. That's sick.
That doesn't matter.
I think I'm at like...
Question number 2. We've already hinted at it. But how many points does everyone have?
Also the other people, or is that going to be after? That's after,
Just
right?
give me everything. Just
But
throw
we
it
need
all.
more
How
time
many
then.
other people did you say?
There is 4 people that are not you guys that are listed in our trivia scores. And you need to tell me what their score is. Wow. I didn't drink enough coffee this morning. You can probably hear it in my voice. Let's see it.
It wasn't
Good.
Everyone else too? How did you guys write so fast?
I was writing long before that.
I started writing the minute I got the first one
Is
wrong.
that cheating?
Probably.
I don't think so.
Whatever.
Wow.
David, I'll give
Do
you...
you know? I mean, like, if
David,
you're ready to write it, you can keep
ready to
writing
write
it.
it.
David, I'll give you
Then just keep writing,
10 more
but-
seconds right now to finish writing.
Okay.
In the meantime,
8.
we're recording this podcast only like 38 minutes earlier than we normally record the podcast.
4.
But man, it just feels like it feels like we're morninging
It-
harder. Like
It feels really morning. It will not when we record Trivia Extravaganza directly after this.
I'm getting
Ready?
excited for that.
I'm ready. All right, Marquez, I'm gonna have you read everything first.
Okay, so Marques, 21. Okay, this is great. David, 25. Andrew, 26.
You thought that I was that far
Apple,
ahead of you?
1. Ellis, 1.
What?
And then another one has 1.
Who?
I don't know. And then someone else also
Other.
has 1.
Other.
Okay.
2 people do have 1, but
Yeah.
you did not say who, so I cannot
Dang.
give you those points.
Can I go next?
Marquez, yes, you can. Also, Marquez, it's hilarious. Almost every single guess you are off by 1. All
Oh, wait, that makes me feel so good.
right, Andrew,
Okay.
let's see.
I have Marquez 24.
That is correct
I've-
as of his last point.
Correct. I was David at 24.
That is also correct.
Andrew at 27.
Oh my goodness.
Beth at 1.
Oh, poor
Google at -1.
Google is at -3.
Oh, well, he's written it already.
Andrew's gonna sweep us.
I have Becca at 1.
We did not do trivia with Becca.
Oh, we didn't do trivia with Becca.
yeah.
Wow.
Shoot. And I have Adam as 1. Okay. I was on a roll there for a minute.
You
Okay.
missed 1.
I missed.
There's one person who's on this list that you did not name.
Is it like
Wait, was Adam on the list?
LG or
It's
something?
not. It's not Adam. Adam and Becca are not on the trivia board.
But you said there's 4 others, so I had to have missed 2.
Ellis, Google,
I didn't say
mystery,
Ellis.
mystery.
Okay.
You did say Ellis.
I did not say Ellis.
You didn't? I thought you did.
Yeah, you did.
Marquez said Ellis.
I did.
Oh.
Oh.
What's the difference?
All right, what'd you say?
David.
Okay.
Let's see it.
I put David 22.
Wait, turn around. I don't believe you.
Sorry. What? It's wrong.
Oh, fair. Okay.
Wow. Doesn't have any faith in me. David 22, Marquez 23, Andrew 27. Okay. Google -1. Ellis 1. And I put girl because I couldn't remember Beth's name.
That didn't. You can't get that one. If I don't get it for other.
Sorry. Look,
I got you, Beth. I don't think Beth ever responded to that, so I don't
no,
even know if she was in
I
there.
got Andrew's point at least.
You did. So David gets 1
Okay.
point. Andrew gets 4 points.
Nice.
Ellis, we have listed on the board as carry the 1. I don't remember why we made that joke, but I guess I'm carrying the 1 this
All right,
time.
because you're just at
Wait,
1.
that's 1.
That's not right.
Yeah, wait.
I think you should give Marquez
Wait,
that.
What?
Well, if I have to give
also
it to
put
Marquez,
Ellis
I have
1.
to give it to David
That's
too.
true.
saying
and you
girl?
should. No,
No,
for
I'm
Ellis.
saying 1.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
still-
think carry the 1 is different.
that's
than 1.
bullshit.
I agree.
Nobody is going to put that. It was a joke. You're carrying the 1 because you've got 1.
Okay, wait, here.
Yes, I agree.
I'll throw it out there. I think if somebody wrote carry the 1 and they both put 1, then they should be wrong. But since no one put carry the 1 and they put 1, I think they should be right.
Carry the 1 was the joke that was on top of
Yeah.
the 1 being the score.
I think we make the rules. When you guys do trivia, then you can
Unbelievable.
decide.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right.
Google was -3 because of that time that they wrote that article on their own blog where they got 3 things wrong
yeah.
about Google. Hilarious.
I forgot.
And apparently now we know they do that because they don't keep any internal company records. So how would they remember?
Delete it all.
And then the one you guys did not get was David Pierce scored 1
That's-
trivia point
Okay.
on his
I
time
knew we
with
had a
us.
guest that did it.
yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was Becca. Okay, cool.
See, my handwriting made it look like I wrote other, but I actually wrote David Pierce. You just-
Yeah, other David. That's what he put.
Exactly. That's what I meant to say.
That's fair.
Well, you
So
know,
update
all
on the
these-
score?
Yeah, maybe one last score update. The final
All
score
right.
update.
Final score update before heading into Trivia Extravaganza. Marques
2 points.
with 24.
Because I got you for one.
Andrew with 31.
Doesn't matter.
David with 25.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. And all of those will soon mean nothing because the next episode
Yeah.
is the Trivia Extravaganza season finale. I don't know. This is our third or fourth
Coming
one
out on
we're
It's,
doing?
Tuesday.
I think it's like 6.
Wow.
I think it's like 5th.
Yeah, either way, that's the next trivia question.
Did you
How
know the
many
first
have we
Trivia
done?
Extravaganza, David was a host? I was looking back.
And we had the old table.
Yeah,
Oh my
that was a
gosh.
fun time.
Wait, before you sign off, I just want to tell one funny story to get everyone hyped for Trivia Extravaganza, which is that Marques is a great boss. He gives his employees lots of creative freedom to do their best work. But the only creative disagreement that Marques and I have ever gotten into in my 3 years of working here. Do you remember this, Marques? It was whether to call it Trivia Extravaganza or Trivia Bonanza. This conversation lasted like 2 weeks, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yeah,
Wait, can I tell one other funny story about Trivia Extravaganza?
absolutely.
So we have like a work shared devices login for Apple ID. So there's like 20 different like random devices across the studio in it. So they were doing a test run of Trivia Extravaganza yesterday with 3 different members of the team. I'm in the robot room doing a robot room with Brandon, and just in the bottom corner, this Safari like icon pops up with a little iPad, and it just says Safari iPad. I'm like, what is this? I've seen it pop up a couple times today, and I click it, and up pops a browser window of Google Drive, and just Trivia Extravaganza doc loads in, and I'm like, no! I quit out, and I run over, and as that's happening, Adam and Ellis are screaming and running out of the thing, and we're both like, did you just see that?
Wait, did you see?
I did not. All I saw was the
He
title.
claims to not have read anything. He claims to have read Trivia
no.
Extravaganza and only Trivia
We
Extravaganza.
caught him instantly because we were running the show, and Adam just goes, whoa, why is Andrew in this doc? Especially because we have not shared the doc with him. And so we instantly get up, abandon the test contestants, and run into the studio, only to see Andrew running towards us like, it's not what it looks like, it's not what it looks like.
Right. And if a bank accidentally deposited $1 million into my account, I'd totally go tell them that they shouldn't have done
I mean, you should.
You should.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
They
That's
totally
what
should. Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
what I meant.
Well, we take this very seriously, as you can tell, and obviously we have a lot of points at stake. Ideally, like enough for me to get back into this thing. But yeah, stay tuned. That will be the next episode, and it will be a banger, as it always is. Until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and catch you in the next one. Peace.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina and Ellis Irvin. We're partnered with Vox Media Podcast Network, and our intro music was created by Vane Sim.
This won't work.
All right, let's go.
Teams is amazing. Why don't you believe
I'm
in
hopping
Teams?
in.
They have a video.
Cut his mic.
I don't care.